Hey y'all, Neil here. I just wanted to give you a little bit of my past here. So, about 1975, my father passed away. I was only like 4 years old. Don't really remember anything about him. So I was raised by my mother. My mother worked her butt off to provide for us. We still grew up, well, I grew up pretty poor. I didn't have the newest clothes, all that type of stuff. We always had what we needed, rarely what we wanted. Which was perfectly fine for me because I found it pretty normal. Well, as I got into my teenage years, started thinking about what I wanted to do for life, that type of thing, and so I got into, I wanted to become a forest ranger. So I knew that I had to have a lot of different training for that. Some of the things were just basic first aid. I had my St. John ambulance, or my St. John ambulance certificate, I should say. I also had my lifeguard training, and I always loved nature, so it kind of all worked together. Well, then in 1986, I was diagnosed with RP. I went through all the genetic testing, all that type of stuff. Quite the ordeal, and very hard on me and my mother. But we just, after all the testing and everything else, we just kind of stopped talking about it. So a year later, about 6 months later, we had heard about a program called the Junior Forest Ranger Program, done by the Natural Resources Canada. So I signed up for that and got accepted, which was awesome. So it was the summer of 1980. Well, it was late winter, early spring of 1988, and my mom had a heart attack. It was rough on me. It was rough on her, of course, but it was rough on me. She still wanted me to go to my course, or to the program, whatever you want to call it, and I really didn't want to go. But she basically insisted, so I ended up going to this summer camp thing. It was a paid program. So I went up to the program, or I went to the program. It was about 800 kilometers or so from where my mom was. I had been up training, doing all the things that I was supposed to do up at this camp, and then I got the phone call. Neil, you have to come home. Your mother passed away. Well, it wasn't said that nice to me, but that's how I'll put it. And I was just devastated, to say it the easiest way. So I went home. Well, all the money that I had made up to that point at the camp, I ended up using to fly home, which was kind of a kick in the pants, but hey, it had to be done. So I flew home. I had to make the decisions of where my mother would be buried. I had to basically figure out all the things that a 17-year-old kid shouldn't have to figure out. And well, like I said before, we kind of grew up poor. So my mom didn't have any type of life insurance. She was still rather young. Oh, she was my age that I am now. So that kind of makes me a little bit nervous. It terrifies me at times. I'm always stuck in my head thinking about things. It's not a good place for me. So anyway, yeah, I chose where I was going to bury my mom. I picked out the coffin, bought a funeral plot, all that type of stuff. And to do all this, I basically had to sell everything me and my mom owned. And that left me pretty well in a position where I had no help. After burying my mom, I ended up on the streets. I wasn't in a good place in my head. I got into drugs, alcohol, crime, all the bad stuff. I just really didn't care about life anymore, because my life had literally imploded. So that was a bit of a rough time. I lived on the streets for from 88 to 93 or 94, and around 93, 94 is when I met my daughter's mother. Oh, we were having a really good relationship. I thought that she was going to be the one that I would marry. Well, that didn't work out, but my daughter was born, and once she was born, it gave me a whole new reason to live. I made sure I got all the training I needed for blind training, that type of thing. Always looking for work. I've been on disability now for a number of years, which really doesn't pay much. Disability is here in Ontario, Canada, it gives you enough to survive on, not enough to live on. So me and the mother ended up breaking up about 3 or 4 months after my daughter was born. We just fell apart, I guess. I was still always there for my daughter. Anytime the mother needed a babysitter, I was there. And I've always stayed there. When my daughter turned about 10 years old, she ended up moving in with me. And yeah, she gave me a new lease on life. And so yeah, that's pretty well where I am today. Like, no major details here, but just to give you a kind of a heads up of where I am. Don't feel sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for me. I find that the life that I've led gives me kind of a unique view on the world, on society. yeah, I find that I see things a lot differently than other people. I've spent most of my adult life, well, whenever I could get to computers, I would use them to research. I used to always go to libraries and that type of thing, research anything, everything, sit there and just read. Just take in all the information I could. And so, yeah, that brings me to where I am today. I still constantly try to learn new things each and every day. In my mind, I make connections that it doesn't even seem like science makes yet. A couple of times, science has agreed with things that I had been saying for years, and it just kind of blows my mind, because I've been seeing it that way for so much longer. Yeah, so that's a little bit about my backstory. I know I kind of ramble, because I'm really not good at talking to a camera. I prefer two-way conversations. I prefer speaking to a person, not to a camera. Okay, well, I guess that's all I'll say for today. I hope you have a great day wherever you are. Peace, love, and respect. Have a great one.